Hey everyone, I got to play with the new Avatar: The Last Airbender cards before almost everyone, thanks to the streamers event. It's an event that the Arena and Wizards people run for us, and I got to try a lot of the new cards, played Standard exclusively, and tried pretty much all the mechanics, Earthbend, Waterbend, Firebend, Airbend, to various success. So, gonna walk you through every deck and every new card I tried. And honestly, I was quite impressed. The first deck I tried was a Bant Airbend deck based around Aang, Swift Savior, Appa, Steadfast Guardian, and you can splash green for Duck, Orlock, Grizzled Genius for an infinite combo, but just the Airbend synergies were quite strong on their own. The cards I feel are pretty pushed overall for standard, decent rate anyways, a lot of them. And I think Aang Swift Savior might just be a staple in a lot of deck, not just a build around, but a solid card overall. So that deck was quite nice. You have good curve in most of these decks. Honestly, you have a nice curves. We'll see that with the allies as well, but overall, pretty impressed. Did some pretty cool things. People mentioned maybe you could play a card like High Noon. This is a thing you see in historic, the blue white High Noon deck to abuse the cards like Aang Swift Saviors and the Aven Interrupter. So that could be an option. You could splash green or not depending on the mana. And yeah, that was a nice little start. I then tried the allies deck. Four color, five color. The mana base makes it so that you can play pretty much any allies. You've got Secluded Courtyard, you've got Cavern of Souls, and you've got the new ally land from Avatar as well. So that makes casting the allies pretty easy. And once again, yeah, good curve. You've got a bunch of decent one drops. You've got a lot of good two drops. I feel like the standout card for me was Southfold Voyager. Shocker, the one that draws you a bunch of cards. But yeah, I thought that one was really important and comboed nicely with the rest of your deck, whether it's the ally that gives you a 1-1 when it comes into play, triggers it right away. You can easily go like 2 drop plus 1 drop on turn 3, and it also triggers right away when you cast the ally that doubles the triggers. So yeah, overall, really solid, really good curve. Obviously, it's the type of deck. Got to see if it survives, sweepers or deck with a lot of spots removal. But it does feel like much better than the birds maybe we got in the Final Fantasy set, as far as how many allies it printed and how good they are. So another fun one, another solid one. I also played against that deck and lost to it once or twice. So overall, not a bad showing and maybe some potential there. I also tried more traditional control deck inspired from the four color control deck that's been around for a while. Tried Fire Lord Azula as well as Azula Cunning Usurper and the Rise of Sozin. Fire Lord Azula, if you're on tap with it and get to cast a couple spells, definitely will win you the game. It does curve into Jeskai Revelation, but just casting a Chart of Course plus another spell can be pretty sweet. Um, Azula Cunning Usurper, just decent rate, impacts the boards, so another solid creature. And the Rise of Sozin also, I was kind of impressed. 6 mana is a lot, but getting a sweeper that doubles as a win condition is pretty strong. That's exactly what you want out of your win conditions in control decks. You want them to be able to play both ways in a way, give you some kind of board control, card advantage, and also win you the game one of the best examples is Teferi Hero of Dominaria, just card advantage engine, a little extra mana, and then there was that standard, the infamous control deck that just won was a bunch of Teferis just getting the ultimate, then tucking itself and preventing you from decking. So always nice when you get these kind of cards. A little less success was the Waterbend. I did try a blue-black Waterbend, probably a kind of a raw draft of the deck. That was a all list that my viewers slash subs sent me. So yeah, I outsourced the work there. I like to do that during the early access event. I feel like it's kind of nice that people who don't get to play with the cards right away get to see their ideas in action. Saves me a lot of time, gives me some ideas, and then sometimes I'll build my own decks or add my tweaks to the lists, try and tune them a bit. But yeah, really, really powerful payoffs. Obviously, mind slavering people or drawing many cards. They didn't get to really pop off. And I did run in spots where even if I had gotten to mind slaver my opponent, all they had was a bunch of giant creatures in play, and it would have not even really saved me. So I would guess that Waterbend is the less constructed playable, but who knows? It also like maybe potentially the most broken in some ways if you figure it out. But yeah, the cost on these cards is quite high. I also tried Jaunt Biotech Update, and one of the honestly nice surprise, maybe not to everyone, but to me, I didn't even really know that card existed, to be fair, was Obsessive Pursuit. That card is just a one-card engine, a little reminiscent of a card that they just banned, a little reminiscent of Prof's Idyllic Memory. Just 2 mana enchantment, hard to deal with. You get value right away. So even if they deal with it, you can be up a card. And it worked quite well in that deck, provided you all the artifacts you needed and soloed a couple games. That deck's pretty cool. I don't know if it's competitive or not, but it can kill you pretty fast. And Pursuit is almost definitely a great addition to the deck. You could also play a few copies of June Bounty Hunter. I don't think that card's anything special, but maybe nice little 1 or 2 ups. And then a card we never really got to see in action during the event was Phoenix Fleet Airship. But in theory, it can pretty much go over the top of any board stall. It's exponential and just came up with a lot of 4/4 flyers in play. So that was another cool one. Not a really good surprise, honestly. I don't know if these decks are actually going to be real, but I tried a Mardu Greed's Gambit Demonic Pack deck. Was new additions Zuko Conflicted as just a generic good engine, 2 mana creature, and Eero Teamaster as a way to give your enchantments. And that deck was really impressive. Eero Teamaster is just really good. Not only was Greed's Gambit, but was nowhere to run Seam Rip, all your removal that you don't mind giving. And yeah, it was definitely way more a Greed's Gambit deck than a Demonic Pact, way easier to pull off and impacts the board way faster right away. But yeah, honestly, good curve, good mana, good removal. When you play against a creature deck and your removal lines up, deck's really powerful. You can probably pivot after sideboards, with cards like Duress, Dark Confidant, or maybe even Obsessive Pursuit. I ended up adding 1 or 2 copies of that card to the deck as just generic good card, decent engine. So yeah, that was maybe the standout deck for me, honestly, out of all the decks I tried. And Eero Teamaster might be a sleeper. Might make these strategies viable. I tried another Greed's Gambit deck. This one didn't have as many new cards. It was just Greed's Gambit that you give with the Coveted Falcon. You can also double the trigger with the Blue Adventure. One of the cool new cards was once again the Rise of Sozin, the 6-mana board wipe. And the nice part about that card is that it's a board wipe that you can put into play with Ancestral Vestige, which can come in really handy if you're behind on board. So that is a deck that already existed, obviously. Once again, I'm not sure how competitive all these decks could ever be, but the power level in the standard should be a little lower with the bans of Vivi, Props, and Screaming Nemesis. And that was another deck that just seemed functional and potentially worth exploring. And then finally, I tried an combo deck, Abzan combo deck based around Beifong's Bounty Hunter. And the combo is you get Beifong into play, a Blood Gas, and a Sack Outlet, and you get infinite Earthbend triggers, like you get to sack your land an infinite number of times, and you can combo that with some of the ping lands, the lands that come in play tapped and deal 1 damage when they come into play, which is infinite damage. You set up the combo with cards like Dredger's Insight, Overlord of Baelmerk, etc. The few games I played, I think maybe I won both games, but the combo was pretty slow to be assembled. You probably play an okay-ish fair game, so that's another interesting one. The cards, I guess, are okay on their own, and the combo does one-shot people. So overall, I had a lot of fun playing the event. I was impressed by the power level of the cards. A lot of the cards I I knew of, but didn't really know they existed. I didn't do a formal set review. So that was my first look at a set. Definitely seems like a giant upgrade, on the Spider-Man set that didn't have the best rep. And it seems like, the designers knocked it out of the park. I have never watched any of the Avatar: The Last Airbender shows, but I know they're popular and a lot of people like them. And it seemed like the designers also made a great job. Did a great job with the lore. I'm not big on the lore, but it's always interesting to hear about it. And it seems like people were really happy with what they were seeing and the way the cards were designed and everything about it. So looks like they knocked it out of the park. And yeah, I feel like my two standard cards were maybe Obsessive Pursuit as an engine and Eero Tea Master. One card I actually didn't play was, and it should probably get a mention, is the Cub. I played against the Cub. It was pretty ridiculous. I got turn 3 or turn 4 Crater Hoofed. I think my opponent went a bunch of creatures, Cub into a lot of mana. And I think that card is just probably as good as advertised. Really almost no downside. The green decks were already quite good. Nemesis is gone. You already had the blue-green Uroboid deck that was strong. And I think we're just going to see that shell a ton. Llanowar Elf, Gene Pollinator, the Cub was Uroboid, and whatever whatever color you want to splash. Blue, green, and black green might be the easiest because they get the extra fast land to cast your turn 1 Elves and Gene Pollinator. You might see that some mono green builds, but yeah, that card is that card does seem as good as you think it would be. They stack well. I will say, if you kill the Cub with a 1-mana removal spell, it doesn't feel too bad. Sure, they have the 1/1 left behind, but that's not that big of a deal. So it might not totally warp standard, but obviously a fairly great card. And as far as Modern goes, I'm mostly excited about Wan Xing Ting, I think the card is called. And try it in a shell with cards like Field of Ruin and Path to Exiles and whatnot. I'm not sure a lot of the cards I played in Standard are going to have a big impact in Modern. Maybe a card like Ang Swift Savior could see some play, and I'm sure we could trust Aspiring Spike to figure things out. But yeah, Wang Xingtang I think is the one I'm interested about. There's a three big regional championships on the weekend of November 22nd, 23rd, and the cards from Avatar are going to be legal, but people are literally going to have a couple days to figure things out. The set's going to go live on Magic Online on Tuesday, and people are going to have to submit their list like Friday. So it will be fun and interesting to see if anyone has time to try things, if some of these cards show up in Modern. But yeah, you've got an RC in Europe, you've got an RC in the US in Las Vegas, and you have a Canadian RC too. So for people who like to play Modern, who play Modern, it's going to be a big weekend, and you know, I'm excited to see just what does well in general, but the fact that Avatar is legal is a nice little extra bonus. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the recap. Maybe I'll do a little like top five, top 10 type of video. Let me know in the comments if that's something you want to see. I know that's kind of content that people usually like, and then that's quite well. So maybe I'll do that. But yeah, as always, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.